What is going on, guys? PapaSea back with a Duel Links video for you guys, and today we'll be discussing the top 5 decks of the July 2018 meta. This is something I want to try to make every month if possible, if you guys enjoy seeing it, of course. And if you guys want to see more videos like this every month, make sure you leave a like down below, because then I'll make sure that I make one next month for August, probably towards the end of the month, especially since we have the KC Cup going on towards the end of the month next month. I think it'll make more sense to do it towards the end of the month. So either way, let's get right into this with the number 5 deck. So coming in at number 5, we have Batteryman. I want to stress that this list is mainly just my opinion. I put Batteryman at number 5. I was pretty tempted to put like Burn/Doll at number 5 because even though it did get nerfed recently, you do still see that deck from time to time, and I have seen people hit King of Games with Burn or Stolly decks. I feel like they're just a little bit too gimmicky, and I wanted to put Batteryman because I feel like they're such an interesting deck. Unfortunately, it's the only deck on this list that I cannot play because I don't have any of the cards because I haven't opened any of the new set. But the reason why this deck is so good is because, in my opinion, this card right here, Batteryman Industrial Strength, is the best boss monster in the game. If you don't know what it does, you can special summon it from your hand by banishing 2 Batteryman monsters from your graveyard, and once per turn you can remove from play 1 Thunder monster from your grave to destroy 1 monster and 1 spell and trap on the field. So you remove 1 card from your grave, destroy 2. That is such a good card. Like, 2600 attack, you can run and beat down. You also have Batteryman Solar, which can fuel your Batteryman Industrial Strength. Very, very strong cards. And you also have some good floater cards. You have Batteryman Micro Cell. When you flip summon, you special level 4 lower Batteryman from your deck. And when it's sent to the graveyard, or when it's destroyed by battle to the graveyard, I should say, you draw a card. So you have that floating mechanism there, which is very, very strong. You also have some pretty good generic Thunder support, as you can see here. You have something like Bro Hunter if you want to play to search out for a level 4 lower Thunder. You also have cards like Raimei and Raijin, which aren't really too commonly played, but you could play it. Even though there aren't very many Thunder cards in this game, all the cards on your screen are all the Thunder cards in the game. The support this deck has is just so good. There's also Thunder Seahorse, which is probably the best of the generic Thunder support. You discard this card, add 2 level 4 or lower Thunder type monsters with the same name with 600 or less attack from your deck to your hand. Kind of a weird requirements, I should say. It has to be level 4, so you can get your Batteryman Solar, which is very, very nice. You can also get your Batteryman AAA, which not many decks play, but it's not the worst card, I guess. Turn all flip face up, you can special on Batteryman AA from your hand or graveyard. So you do have that swarming ability. It is only 0 attack. I think in the future this card could be better once we get Exceeds and stuff like that. But for right now, Batteryman number 5, a deck I'd want to play. It's a pretty expensive deck, though. That is honestly the biggest downfall, is that, you know, these cards are, you have to get 2 URs from the same set. And it's a main box. Then you have some older cards, like if you want to play Bro Hunter, it's a pretty old card, so it's not the best budget friendly deck. It is only number 5. It reminds me a lot of Archfiends in that regard, is that it's a very good deck in this meta, but it's not played as much just because it's such an expensive deck. So that's number 5 deck, and let's move on to number 4. So at number 4 we have Amazonas. Now this might be a little bit lower than a lot of you guys expected. Amazonas is a very, very good deck, mainly because Amazonas Onslaught and Amazonas Princess exist. You summon your princess, search for your Onslaught. Onslaught is at 2 now, which really sucks because you can only play 2 in your deck, and you cannot play Econ in this deck anymore, which really hurt. This deck also got hurt by not being able to play Restart. Restart was definitely the skill of choice for this deck. Now you see people playing Parasite Infestation, you see people playing My Monster cards, lots of different decks. You also only have 1 coin. It's not limited or anything like that, but there's only 1 obtainable in the game. Now, this might be a little bit too low. I'm sure some guys might argue this could be number 2. I feel like 2 through 4 can honestly be interchanged however you want. You also have some really great support cards like Swordswoman. Swordswoman, just to be a beat stick, it's only 1500, but it burns your opponent when you take the damage, which can be very, very good. This card is pretty much the reason why Massive Morph was limited. Granted, Massive Morph wasn't played in Amazonas, but still, Onslaught, in my opinion, is one of the best trap cards in the game. If not the best trap card in the game, you could argue that Treacherous is better because Treacherous is a +1 and go in any deck. But being able to just banish all of your opponent's monsters and then special summon something from the grave when it's destroyed is pretty good. Granted, the most prominent form of spell and trap removal is going to be Cosmic Cyclone. Cosmic Cyclone banishes, so Onslaught won't get the effect. But the fact that your opponent has to think twice for destroying it is really, really good. You also have Baby Tiger, which I can't find here. There it is. Very, very annoying card to play against, and it's such a strong deck. This deck, similar to Batteryman, has a decent amount of cards that just float, which is such a nice thing to have in this game. Coming at number 3, we have Spellbooks. Now, Spellbooks have fallen a little bit out of favor as of lately. I do still think they are a very strong deck for 2 reasons. 1, you got Spellbook of Fate. Such a powerful card. Just banish any card, doesn't target, your opponent can't really respond to this, because if they do, you can just choose another card to banish. Very, very powerful card. It's very, very easy to fuel this in the grave thanks to cards like Blue Boy, Summon Blue Boy, search for secrets, activate secrets, get yourselves a Spellbook of the Master, Spellbook of the Master, get a power, and then boom, you have 3 spell traps in the grave. If you play Crescent, it's even easier. You also got not Blue Boy, you have Full of Prophecy, send a spell trap to the graveyard. If you're playing the variant that plays the higher level spellbook monsters such as Prophecy Destroyer or even cards like Dark Magician of Chaos, you can use Full of Prophecy, special summon them at the end phase, because getting 5 spell traps, or 5 spellbooks in the grave first turn really isn't that hard to do with this deck. This deck also got a pretty nice buff with the new cards coming out from the starter deck, the new, what are they called, the Silent Magician cards. You can play Silent Magician, it works with your spellbooks, you need a spell caster on the field to activate your spellbooks, and then you can bring out Spellbook Magician level, what is it called? Silent Magician level 8, why I keep forgetting the name. Which this deck really needed a more reliable beat stick, because in the past, if you don't play Silent Magician, you were pretty much playing Blue Boy Beatdown, just 500, 500, 500, activate Fate. You also started playing Spellbook of Organization now, so you can influence your next draws and also get a spell trap card in the grave. And another reason why I think this deck is really good is because it counters a lot of the meta. There's a lot of decks in this meta that are really normal summon reliant, and this deck can pretty easily stop the normal summon if you go first and can set up a Fate. Such a strong deck, and it just has such a great meta matchup, which is why I put it above Amazonas. Coming in at number 2, we have Destiny Heroes, Masked Heroes, Heroes, whatever you want to call them. In my opinion, the second best deck in the meta. Such a powerful deck, mainly because of this card right here, Masked Hero Anki. 2800 beater that can attack, get a mass change, summon another copy of itself, and go for game. That is really, really powerful. I see a lot of people complaining about this deck because of that, and it is unfortunate that you can get sacked by this deck if they open to mass change. But I think that this deck is a little bit underrated. I feel like, again, kind of similar to Batteryman. It's not played as commonly because it is a relatively expensive deck. The difference with this deck and Batteryman, though, is that you have to spend money to play this deck because you need to get a second copy of the Destiny Hero starter deck, which you can only obtain by getting money, which I think is one of the reasons why it's not played as much, but it is still a pretty common deck. This deck has seen a little bit of a nerf, with Restart being nerfed. Restart was definitely the skill of choice on this deck, so you can ensure that you can open with something to get into Anki. Now you play things like Beatdown, you play a bunch of other skills, it's not as powerful. Beatdown is definitely win more, it is more sustainable to bricks, however. And now the deck is kind of forced to go more in the malicious Vision Hero Trinity fusion route with Vion. In the past, you get away with running a deck with like 3 Celestial, 3 Drill Dark, 3 of the Decider, and then 3 Mass Change, and then a bunch of traps and stuff like that. Now you're kind of forced to run Malicious, you're kind of forced to run Vion, although it's not really a bad thing because it gives the deck another option. You're not as reliant on Anki anymore. Anki is more of a support monster because you can summon your Vision Hero Trinity, which has just gotten a lot better lately because of for hire swarming the board. Summon Trinity, attack, attack, attack. That is game. Vion being able to search a polymerization makes this deck very strong. Like I said, Trinity, very, very good. And Celestial being able to draw 2 cards from the graveyard is ridiculous. You can also pop the face-up spell or trap, which is amazing, or just spell card, I should say. If your opponent is playing something with a field spell, you can just pump it, burn it for 500. Very, very strong card. And the deck can also afford to run a pretty decent amount of traps. You see some decks that are only running, say, 1 Treacherous, but you do see some builds that are playing, say, 3 Wall of D, you're playing Chalices. There's a lot of tech room with this deck, which is why I like it a lot, and why it's my personal favorite deck of this current meta. And coming in at number 1, I'm sure you guys saw this coming, but we have Fur Hires. This deck honestly just has it all. You have Searches with Beat, you have Negation with Wiz, you have Banishing with Dinah, you have Recursion from the Graveyard with Seal, you have Donpa and Recon to destroy face-up or face-down cards. And then you have something like Mayhem for Hire, which really isn't played as much anymore. It's played in 1, maybe 2, which you could use on your opponent's turn, special summon a For Hire from your graveyard, and then activate another one of your For Hire's effect. Maybe you can destroy a face-down card or a face-up card if you have one of these on your field. It's just such a strong, strong deck, this format. It can swarm so easily. And the real only drawback of this deck is that it's pretty normal summon reliant. What I mean by that is that let's say you summon B and then go for Floodgate, your plays just end there. It's not like Sylvans in the past where if you get the normal summon or get rid of the normal summon, they can still push through and make some plays. This deck kind of suffers from that, but if you go first, it's pretty hard to lose. If you go first, you summon Wizzy and Spellbooks, that's basically an auto win. You summon Dinah and they can't get over it, that's basically an auto win. Now, if you were able to summon 2 Dynas, they can't attack you, which is pretty scary. It's hard to pull off, but it can happen. In my opinion, this deck is a little bit too strong for Duel Links. I feel like from this to all the other decks, it's a pretty big gap between them because this deck is just so strong. It's also really easy to make. It's pretty free to play friendly because it's all from a mini box, which is very easy to open. I believe it costs roughly 4,000 gems to open every single pack from a mini box. So worst case scenario, it's 4,000 gems for a beat. If you have 8,000 gems, you'll be able to get 2 no matter what. And unless you're super unlucky, you should be able to get 2 with not that many gems. I was able to do it with about 9,000 gems. It does sound like a lot, but if you're responsible with your gems, you save your gems, and you don't just go in on every single box for no reason, you could easily build this deck. So those are the top 5 decks of Duel Links in July 2018, in my opinion. What you guys think in the comments down below if you guys think a certain deck belongs in a different spot. I think we can all agree that the top 4 decks that I put on this list definitely belong there, with For Hires being number 1, but I can definitely see the rest being interchangeable. So thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys next time, and bye-bye.